Caitlin Clark was supposed to be coached by Minnesota Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve.
Because Clark traded Cheryl Reeve, who was the coach of her team, or was to be the coach of her team.
Caitlin Clark and Napheesa Collier, they traded their coaches. They didn't trade any players in the draft. They traded their coaches.
But I cannot believe she traded the coach.
Caitlin Clark and Napheesa Collier. They switched coaches with one another. They didn't trade any players during the draft. They switched coaches with one another. It's difficult for me to believe she traded the coach, though. The league is still in shock following Caitlin Clark's selection as the 2025 WNBA All-Star Draft's most surprising pick. In addition to choosing players in front of a live nationwide audience, Clark also replaced her own coach, Cheryl Reeve. Rev was taken by surprise by this power play, selecting the rosters and the play.
The WNBA All-Star Draft was fun between Caitlin Clark and Napheesa Collier, the team captains, picking the players, picking the rosters.
When Caitlin Clark and Napheesa Collier took the lead in choosing the rosters for their respective WNBA All-Star games, things swiftly spiraled out of hand. What started out as a funny TV-worthy event turned into one of the league's most iconic power plays ever. Caitlin Clark fundamentally altered the WNBA story. Furthermore, Cheryl Reeve was unprepared. A pleasant, lighthearted All-Star Draft quickly turned into a masterclass in quiet revenge. At a sudden moment that caught everyone off guard, Caitlin Clark made the boldest move of the evening. She forfeited her coach, but not a player or a pick. Her teacher, at first.
Caitlin Clark was supposed to be coached by Minnesota Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve.
Clark was paired with Cheryl Reeve, a well-known coach for the Minnesota Lynx who also coached Team USA, a team that Clark publicly avoided. "I'm not sure if this is part of the rules on live television," Clark said simply. "I have no interest in it. The coach is going to be traded. It's not only a move. That is a proclamation." Naturally, that makes sense given that,
of course, Reeve is Collier's head coach for the Minnesota Lynx, so that makes sense.
Reeve is Collier's head coach for the Minnesota Lynx. Sandy Brondello, the coach of the New York Liberty, was in charge of Team Clark. The trade was immediately accepted by Napheesa Collier, who plays for Reeve in Minnesota and clearly had no issue taking her own coach. But in this trade, neither strategy nor
But the drama is going to come from Reeve having previously been critical on social media about the amount of attention Clark received relative to the rest of the league.
Comfort mattered. Clark and Reeve don't have a positive past together. She's been accused of downplaying Clark's significance and dismissing her notoriety as inflated by the press. Following the removal of the tweets, Christine Brennan's book came to light, suggesting that Reeve was involved in the Olympic roster snub that caused Clark to watch from home. Most supporters don't believe Reeve, despite his denial.
Clark traded Cheryl Reeve, who was the coach of her team, or was to be the coach of her team, to Collier for Sandy Brondello, the coach of the New York Liberty.
In this miles of involvement, I don't know if I've ever heard of a Caitlin Clark regaining control in front of the league and cameras here. She wasn't trying to be courteous. She declined to sit next to a person who had never shown her support before. "No," she replied, and she did it without getting upset or sweating. The fact that she smiled while doing it was the sweetest thing. It wasn't trivial. It was planned. She gave voice to all players who have ever been told to hold off, remain silent, or choose the high road by doing this. Clark did not wait. She moved. In addition to,
I don't know that I've heard of a coach being traded in the All-Star game. This is something you're agreeing to, Fee. There's no terms to this deal.
Exchanging Reeve, Clark also substituted this individual for her. As someone who has embraced the Caitlin method and may already have long-term planning in mind, Brondello is unlike your normal coach. Is this the start of a secret recruitment campaign to New York? Some fans believe that the Liberty, who are making an impact in the All-Star game, would benefit greatly from having Clark join Sabrina Ionescu in the backcourt. Now, Brondello will have the chance to coach them both. Is it a coincidence? Maybe, but it seems like the chess pieces are moving fast. Cheryl Reeve was the one left in a difficult situation this evening, despite the fact that she is still a well-known character in a league. Caitlin just kept on grinning the whole time, as though she knew exactly what she was doing. Let's just say this. Caitlin
Clark taking her teammates we knew, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell. She's also taken Sabrina Ionescu and the pink-haired player known as A'ja Wilson. That's right.
Clark did more than just assemble a group of people. She wrote something, and it was a clear, loud, and maybe savage remark. When the WNBA All-Star rosters were announced, it wasn't just about who was selected. Additionally, it was about who didn't. Because instead of just forming a squad, Clark established a circle of trust. If you have spoken anything negative about her in the last 18 months, congratulations. You are watching from the other bench.
Made sure she picked no ops, as people like to call them. She made sure there were no ops on her team.
And Caitlin Clark also wound up with all of the Fever members on her squad as well, meaning Aaliyah Boston, Clark, and Kelsey Mitchell will be a trio in Indianapolis.
Clark's draft strategy is now encapsulated in a single, memorable meme. No operations allowed, Caitlin team. That went viral in a matter of minutes since, well, it was real. She expanded her list to include friends, allies, and teammates with whom she had previously played on the court. Sonia Citroen, a former Team USA friend. Gabby Williams has never said anything unfavorable about her. Kikian is young, nimble, and isolated from the chaos. Naturally, she grabbed up every colleague she came across. From the beginning, Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell were certain. Her choices of wild cards also made sense. Siali, one of the league's most outspoken...
None of her rivals, other than A'ja Wilson, because as Ken Swift's graphic says, Team Caitlin, no ops allowed, except A'ja.
Pro Clark Voices is always defending fans of the new wave. Wilson, AA, came after that. Look, this was what everyone expected. AA is a generational talent, a two-time MVP, and arguably the best player in the world right now. Caitlin is selective, but she doesn't have hallucinations. AA Wilson wasn't being passed over because of a few awkward press appearances, and she can spot a solid squad. She is therefore the exception rather than the rule, even though AA did establish the no-ops-allowed squad. While Clark was stealthily assembling her Avengers-caliber cast,
She picks her teammate Courtney Williams. She picks her UConn alum Brianna Stewart, Paige Beckers.
Nafisa Collier was producing some of her own TV gold. Collier made the Knights line on live television at the actual draft. Angel Reeve leaned into the microphone and said "Mebound" as her name was announced. Yes, that is the very phrase that previously caused WNBA to go through hell on Twitter. And who was situated 2 seats over when that happened? Caitlin Clark. Clark continued to respond coldly. A fixed gaze devoid of a smirk, a laugh, or even an arched eyebrow. But since then, Angel Reeve has taken that Maybound name and used it in a whole
Angel Reeve has filed a trademark for the rebound term "me-bound"
way. Let's talk about the glow-up for a moment. She has been in charge of it lately. You can't sap my vitality. We're talking about entering every arena, double-doubles in almost every game, and monstrous stat lines. She received recognition for turning the insult into a brand instead of just retracting it. Even Clark would probably agree if she ever lost her poker expression. Returning to the draft, though, you start to realize that Clark might have just assembled a subtly outstanding team.
Clark should have a very fast team there. When you look at it, I mean, Williams is really fast for a forward. Obviously, Kelsey's very fast. Citron's very fast. Jackie Young's one of my favorite players. Irian Finn, a rookie, can get up and down the floor. Ionescu can help spread the floor along with Kelsey and Clark, so they can really...
Let's examine and analyze the group she formed in more detail. The front court is anchored by AA Wilson, while Sabali enters at the wing. It is held down in the paint by Aaliyah Boston. Sabrina begins at the 2, whereas Caitlin Clark begins at the 1. That includes speed, strength, distance, and complete absence of cold. The longer you look at the bench, the more disgusting it seems. Flamethrower, Mitchell Kelsey.
Caitlin made sure to get some size. She actually passed up on Paige Beckers to take Sabali, and she took A'ja Wilson with her 3rd pick. If A'ja had fallen any further down the board, that would have been a wee bit of a controversy, if we're being real about it. But Clark picked her, I think, Justin.
Gabby Williams, the defensive beast. Sonia Citroen can be described as a shooter and slasher. Kiki Urifin is a young, large, and vivacious individual. Jackie Young, the underrated glue piece, Kayla Thornton, and a possible MVP All-Star. The gang is not only talented, but also well-rounded. This team can run, stretch the floor, and play big when needed. You are surrounded by shooters: Clark, Savannah, and Mitchell. You have size and rebounding ability with Boston and AA. Gabby and Kiki are athletes who can soar up and down the court. In essence, it is made to be chaotic. Well thought out, intelligent chaos. Not to mention the insignificant detail that made fans go crazy after dying.
But there's got to be something in the back of Caitlyn's mind that still feels a little miffed, even if Reeve wasn't directly responsible for her not making the Olympic squad.
Clark just left Paige Booker sitting there. The media favorite, the former UConn star, and the one who was regularly mentioned in the headlines alongside Clark. Everyone expected her to show there early, but Caitlyn went for Satu Sabali instead. Mutz took another action that might have been both strategic and a little personal. In the end, Clark's draft was both clever and operative. She was a skilled professional. She sent a message, put together a strong team, and ensured that none of her members would go rogue with unusual energy. She had her defenders, her rebounders, her shooters, and her peace of mind.